Madame Joanna, Your Excellency, the great guests of this incredible movement called Haksa, I speak to you today as the patron of Haksa, which makes me absolutely proud to have been introduced by another patron, Hugh Kwashi, whom I met in 1973 and have kept in contact with him. What we talk about in my Xhosa language, we always say that there are those that are not born yet, there are those that are living, and then there are those that have passed on. After death, we become ancestors, and the ancestors live forever. Therefore, there is no death. It is a passage from this earthly little globe called Earth into a realm of great ancestors. The young man I'm talking about, Chadwick Boseman, I met him when we were doing Captain America, Civil War. And as I arrived on set and I was being introduced to all the principals around me, and everybody was saying, good sir, thank you, welcome on board. He came over and said, Molo Baba, which in isiXhosa means, I greet you, elder. That was the link. That for me meant he recognizes the fact that, not that I've got gray hair, that I am his past and present, that I am possibly his future. We immediately got together and decided that there are certain dialogues within the script that I could assist him into having a dialogue in isiXhosa. I remember the director saying, why? I said, you said the country is Wakanda. Therefore, after I meet my son, having not seen him for a very long time, we need to speak our indigenous language. And this young man was so eager that he spent most of the time in my caravan saying, how do I say this? Give me the accent. He had already gotten an accent which he worked hard on it with Ryan Coogler and all the people. He already knew then that there was this African indigenous languages, as he did work in Cape Town, where in another production, which film he did there, and he learned a few words. So it wasn't easy for me to convince him or to convince everybody that we could actually interact in our indigenous languages. And I'm proud because he pushed very strongly that this language, this indigenous isiXhosa, should carry on even in the Black Panther. Many a time there is this understanding that Africans in the diaspora and Africans on the continent, that you're talking about two different people. And many a time when we meet, especially in America, a lot of our African American brothers look at us as Africans as another tribe, another nation on the continent. And I remember talking to some of my wonderful African American brothers, I said, I wish the Africans in the diaspora could be as passionate about Africa as the Jews are about Israel. That they will stand up at any given time and stand up for Africa before they even stand up for political ideologies, mission, and the reason who to vote for. And Chadwick and I began to interact at that level. And then I am amazed when I suddenly learn that when we started, even the Captain America and Black Panther, that this young man was already carrying this incredible pain, this burden. As a Xhosa tribesman, I speak to God, I speak to my ancestors, and I believe that Chadwick had a conversation with the ancestors and said, I know that my days are not enough for the work I want to do. But I ask you to be with me, to give me strength, to give me passion so that I could do these projects that I need to do. Even in the beginning of his career, as I watched him, is that he began to celebrate, bring forth the African-American heroes that are sometimes not even mentioned in the day-to-day conversations, even taught at schools. To play Jackie Robinson, the first African-American to be part of the Major League. Marshall, this wonderful human rights lawyer that fought against racism, to not mention what's happening today. to play to honor and getting up the great godfather of soul, that is James Brown. It already indicated to me that this young man was focused. He knew that I don't have time, I need to do these things now. And then to come and be King T'Challa, to talk to him about the realm of the ancestors, to discuss this with the director, Ryan Coogler, who was incredible, who wanted everything done authentically. He was conscious and sensitive into hurting some African culture in doing something that is Hollywood influenced. But there was something about Chadwick on set that he was absolutely focused. He knew almost like this is the only chance we have. If we don't do this one right, the answer that why aren't actors of color, movies done by people of color, not playing a significant role in Hollywood, places like the Oscars, the Emmys, the Golden Globes? Why do we have one actor nominated in a lifetime, then followed by another? You could count them less than the fingers of my hand. How many of these great, great African-American actors have Tony Awards or even have Oscar Awards? This was Chadwick's urgency. He believed that this is our time. I want to thank Marvel in a very strange world, in a way where he decided to give this incredible project to Ryan Coogler and say, let's do the Black Panther. Immediately, we thought about, right, this is now an African story. That's what was important, is that we took over as the company that this was an African story. And this was also Africa's time. To work with people like Angela Bassett, Lupita Nyong'o, Danai Gurira, Kasumba. I mean, these are the great people, Forrest Whitaker. All of them followed this lead by this director and by this young man who wanted to say, Tata, am I representing Africa correctly? And for me, as I always said when I read this script, I said, this is an opportunity to correct the lie. There are no aliens that build those pyramids. We build them. The Library of Timbuktu was not by chance. We left that documents, those information for next generations. They call the rock paintings on caves that are older than men or modern men as we speak. I said to one professor, they're not rock paintings, dummy. They're literature. Read. This is what our ancestors left there for us to be able to know that this is where we come from, this is where we are, and this is where we're going. His commitment, Chadwick, to his craft was absolutely, absolutely focused. It was a joy to work with this young man. I even called him a bridge builder. And when I heard that he was sick, and next thing I heard that he had passed on, I said to my son, who was also in the Black Panther playing the young King T'Chaka, John Kani, I said, wow, we've lost a bridge builder. We've lost someone I believe was going to create that contact, that strong link between Africans in the diaspora and Africans of the continent. That's going to build a bridge across the Atlantic, so that when we walk across it, we hear the cries of our great-great-grandmothers and grandfathers who were taken from this continent and made enslaved almost all over the world. And there was a young man who had a vision that before I go, I want to start the foundation of this bridge. It is upon us all, especially Haksa, especially through the Sankofa networks, that we continue the work of this young man. Somebody said to me, oh, at 43, he died very young. I said, no, in the African culture, no one dies very young. He had completed his journey. He's now handing over the baton to us so that we continue. He now takes his place in the seat of the ancestors, where he speaks to us in our minds, in our dreams, in our thoughts. He watches us as Africans if we continue to build this bridge that bring all Africans together. There are so many projects and so many things that we could collaborate with. Digitalizing the heritage of this continent is another access for young people to know who they are. What we are faced now with on this continent is what I call collective amnesia, which we practice on our own. And that is why when I get an opportunity, I speak in isiXhosa. And I say to Chadwick, uThixo makamxolele iziphoso zakhe. Uqamatha katayi kavela inqangi, makamamkelele kuye, amnike ukuphumla. And I ask the ancestors to go across the Atlantic to go fetch this beautiful African soul, to listen to the cries of our ancestors lying in the bottom, on the floor of the Atlantic, and tell them it's okay, as Haksa did when I was there in Accra, to open that gate, to open the spiritual communication that was also part of that one block, one little screw, one little nut that Chadwick did. Therefore, he is celebrated not only in Africa, but around the world. He asked me just before I left set, are you happy with me? Are you happy the way I represent this king of a country that was never colonized? People seem to think sometimes in the West that if whites did not colonize Africa, we would be running around in skins like wild savages. I believe strongly that colonization delayed our progress, frustrated the celebration of our indigenous knowledge systems, frustrated our development. That is why Wakanda was important, because when you watch this young man, you truly believed that this is a truth that has been hidden from us. Sometimes by ourselves as writers, not celebrating ourselves because we are afraid that if we write a story too powerful as African, Hollywood might not produce it, theaters might not put it on, the television broadcasting stations might say it has no chance of a commercial success. And this is why the opportunity of the Black Panther meant that the black child can look in that screen and see not Spider-Man, not Superman, not Iron Man, not Captain America, not the Hulk, but see Chadwick Boseman take off that mask and be a hero that speaks for the dignity, the humanity, Ubuntu, and the future of this continent. We would fail him if we do not do another African project. I know we don't have the resources to raise $500 million in order to do an African epic, but that does not mean we cannot collaborate with all Africans in the diaspora, in Europe as they cross the Atlantic, the Mediterranean, looking for an opportunity to breathe and find something that would keep their families and themselves alive. Into the biggest home of Africans outside the continent, which is the USA. Chadwick was concerned about Black Lives Matter. He created such a movement that even when you were Lewis Hamilton of the Formula One racing, when he wins, he does the Wakanda Forever signal. When he passed on, I received personal condolences and sympathies for losing a son. At first, I tried to explain, no, my sons are still alive, all 4 of them, and my 3 daughters, and my 8 grandchildren. Then I realized I am not going to convince anyone that this young man is not my son. I just took on the sympathies and condolences because I too have lost a son. I want to ask you to look at Sankofa and look at the networks and find a way, how do I contribute? This is one moment where the billion people that are Africans can suddenly say, this is one channel, this is one platform, which is ours. We have all the skills, the technology, we have the passion, we even have the political will. We need to speak to our leaders to stop thinking about who's the next president, who's not the next president, but to think about the future of our culture, the future of the next generation, the future of our children. To Chadwick, I say, hamba kakuhle, go well, nyana wam, my son. To Haksa, say, Madame Joanne, Excellency, thank you for the great work. And thank you that I am part, strangely, of the launch of Haksa USA. Because this is where mostly my work is done, in theater and in film. And I know that once we put our claws, once we hold it together, this is going to be the new revolution. It's going to be the most talked about, it's most sought after, the ones who want to affiliate, those who feel that I want to give to Africa, not give back, give to Africa. And Africa is the rest of the world. This is our time to come out of this darkness, dark continent, and say, no, it is our time. It is Africa's time. And thanks to Chadwick Boseman.